Good evening, Ms. Watts. Good evening, Ms. Watts.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, my audio was on a delay there, but I think it's back to normal.
You're good to go, Mr. Van Fleet. Yep.
Awesome. Well, we can probably put up the first slide and let our families know that we will begin in just probably about a minute. We'll give some folks a chance to transition in.
Hola, voy a traducir ahorita. El señor Van Fleet dice que vamos a empezar a poner el dispositivo y vamos a dar un minuto para antes de empezar.
All right, as we get ready to begin this evening, I should introduce myself, Andy Van Fleet, principal here at Fowler Middle School, and we're just absolutely jazzed to have families join us this evening to talk more about our two-way immersion program. And I'd like to go over a few quick norms that will just help us be efficient this evening. When microphones are on, there's background chatter. So if we can keep the microphones muted throughout the presentation, really appreciate that. And there's a chat box at the bottom of the screen, which will allow us to put some questions that we will address at the end of the presentation, as well as a live Q&A through that chat feature as well. This presentation will be conducted sequentially and bilingually. So both languages will be included in this presentation. And again, the last 30 minutes or so, we are here to answer as many questions as we can to help you out.
Dice, hola, soy el señor Andy Van Fleet, el director de la secundaria Fowler. Estoy muy contento de que todos ustedes estén presentes hoy con nosotros. Vamos a hablar un poquito sobre las normas de participación. Por favor, mantengan su micrófono en silencio durante la presentación. ¿Cuál es que hay mucho ruido atrás? Entonces es bueno que esté en silencio el micrófono. La presentación también tiene el chat abajo en la esquina de su pantalla, si es que tiene alguna pregunta que nos quiere hacer saber. La presentación será bilingüe y también será interpretada igualmente. Contestaremos preguntas al final, 30 minutos, ¿ok?
Thank you, Ms. Hernandez. Next slide, please.
Siguiente página.
All right, so officially welcome to Fowler Middle School, fifth graders coming into the sixth grade. We're just super happy to meet you. A few introductions and then we will begin. Joining us this evening and will be helping in the chat is our associate principal, Miss Marnie Watts, who is absolutely awesome. Miss Miriam Hernandez Gabriel, our family liaison. Brian Penny, our school counselor, may join us this evening as well. And Pam Harrell, our TOSA from the district office and coordinator of our immersion program is here, as well as Tim Blackburn, who is the director and the administrator overseeing our two-way immersion program.
Entonces dice, bienvenidos a la secundaria Fowler. Estoy muy contento de que todos nuestros estudiantes estén presentes. Vamos a hacer unas introducciones al equipo que está presente hoy aquí. Tenemos a Mary Watts, que es la vicedirectora de la secundaria Fowler, en el chat contestando algunas preguntas. Estoy yo presente, Miriam Hernández Gabriel. Soy la coordinadora familiar de la escuela secundaria Fowler. También posiblemente tendremos al señor Penny, consejero de la secundaria. Igual tenemos a Pam Harrell, que es la TWI coordinadora del programa de inmersión. Y también tenemos a Tim Blackburn, título 3, administrador del programa de inmersión igualmente.
And one more thank you to Ms. Hernandez and Mr. Blackburn, who will be interpreting this evening. and to Lisa Burton, who is helping with the slideshow. Thank you all so much for your assistance.
Y un más gracias para Miriam, que está interpretando, igual para Tim Burton, que están interpretando, igual para Lisa Burton, que está ayudando con los dispositivos.
Next slide, please.
Siguiente página.
A few folks who cannot be with us tonight, but these are really the stars of the entire show. Maestra Alcaraz Juarez, who is the teacher for our 6th graders for both math and science this year, and we believe she will also be teaching math and science next year as well.
Algunas personas que no están presentes con nosotros hoy, pero quiero que las conozcan, es a la maestra Juárez, Alcaraz Juárez. Ella es maestra de matemáticas y ciencia de 6º grado y posiblemente el año que viene será igual maestra de matemáticas y ciencia.
And I'm really excited for this next slide that we're about to move to. 5th graders, not only are you coming to Fowler, but we are also able to roll up with you Maestro Guerrero Diaz. Having him join us and join you into your 6th grade year, we are just thrilled for. And he will be teaching language arts and literacy, as well as the social studies side of that 6th grade experience.
Y también tenemos a alguien que posiblemente ustedes ya conozcan. No solo ustedes vendrán de la primaria, también nos traemos al maestro Guerrero Díaz. Él va a enseñar a 6º grado este año, va a enseñar a estudios sociales y escritura. Entonces estamos muy contentos de que él se una a nuestro equipo.
Next slide, please.
Siguiente página.
Okay, so the first portion of this presentation is a little bit more of the overview of what the school year will look like, what you can predict to see in terms of the courses, the electives, things like that. The second half of the presentation, we will move into that Q&A and answer everything we possibly can for parents and students.
Entonces dice la agenda, vamos a platicar un poquito. La primera parte va a ser la presentación sobre de las clases que vamos a tener el año que viene, también sobre las clases electivas. Y la segunda parte será unas preguntas y respuestas en vivo.
Next slide, please.
Siguiente página.
Okay, so we are super proud of having the TWI program both at Hazelbrook Middle School and at Fowler. And we will spend time this evening really looking at the content that students will learn in English and in Spanish, a little bit more of our elective offerings, and then I think we've already shared your 6th grade instructors, so we've covered that piece already.
Entonces dice el director que estamos muy orgullosos de tener el programa de TWI aquí en la secundaria Fowler, pero igual en la secundaria de Hazelbrook. Como ya les dijo, vamos a platicar un poquito sobre el contenido y el lenguaje, los cursos que van a estar disponibles en la escuela. La facultad ya se los introdució, igual preguntas que ustedes tengan.
Next slide, please.
Siguiente página.
All right. So the overview, the program and vision and goals, and I'll pause Miriam to help out as we go through this, is we are committed to ensuring that our students become bilingual and biliterate as they move through our program by developing advanced levels of language use. Now we've started that foundation coming up from kinder through, or I guess from about that 3rd grade through 6th. And they will continue to move all the way through high school. So we're really excited about that progression. And that our goal is that students will perform at or above their grade levels in those academic areas in both languages. And so that is going to be a piece that we're going to see a little bit of an up and down each year in the process. But we want our students to excel in both languages as they move through the TWI experience.
Entonces dice el señor Andy, Mr. Van Fleet, señor Van Fleet, que la visión y las metas del programa TWI quieren ellos asegurarse que los estudiantes tengan un nivel alto de lectura en español y en inglés. También que cumplan con los estándares académicos en ambos idiomas o que, por ejemplo, resalten igual. Y que ellos desarrollen posiblemente autoestima y actitudes culturales positivas igual.
And by immersing ourselves in both languages in the middle school experience, we hope to develop a positive appreciation of self and others, as well as gain enough confidence and skills to be able to earn the Oregon Seal of Biliteracy upon that graduation of high school.
Y también dice que cuando ellos se inmersan positivamente, ellos esperan que los estudiantes se sientan contentos y con una alta autoestima de apreciarse a sí mismos, ¿verdad? Esperan que los estudiantes también tengan el sello estatal de lectoescritura bilingüe de Oregon.
Next slide, please.
Siguiente página.
Okay, so this is a little bit of what our pathway looks like. It's a nice visual that lets us see what students will encounter in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And in that 6th grade year in Spanish, students will learn language and literacy, mathematics, as well as social studies. And moving into the remainder of the content that students will have, they will also be exposed to English language arts and additional courses, PE and electives.
Entonces dice que aquí es un poquito sobre la secuencia de los cursos. Ellos van a aprender lectoescritura en 6º grado y también van a tener lectoescritura o lenguaje artes en español, en inglés, igual al mismo tiempo.
And as we move into 7th grade, we can see that again, we have 3 classes in Spanish, and we will have 3, 4 in English. In 8th grade, very similar. We'll go into these slides a little bit more, I think, in the next set of slides. But again, we will see in each of these levels, 6, 7, and 8, there will be 3 different courses that will occur in Spanish, and then 4 classes that will occur in English, with the intent of earning a certificate in biliteracy by the time students leave Fowler Middle School. So we're very proud of this. This is a new piece that we're adding this year, and just absolutely thrilled that students will have something like this to work for as they go through their 3 years.
El director dice que en 7º grado igual ellos tendrán 3 clases en español y también 3 o 4 clases están esperando en inglés. Lo mismo será para 8º grado y vamos a platicar un poquito más sobre eso, pero él espera de que los estudiantes surpasen y posiblemente puedan tener ese sello del estado, ¿verdad? Entonces es algo que él está muy contento y orgulloso de que pase en la escuela.
Thank you. Next slide, please. So the next slide here, as we transition over to Mr. Blackburn to assist, moves into the high school pathway. That clearly I'm at the middle school, so I will let the professionals speak to what's happening from grades 9 through 12.
Muy bien, vamos a platicar ahora de la secuencia de cursos a nivel de la escuela preparatoria. Let's talk a little bit about what you might expect in the high school biliteracy pathway. We're very proud of this, and much like the middle school pathway, the high school pathway is a result of collective effort, right? A collective effort to not only understand what we know works in dual language programs, but also to connect that to our school system here in Tigard-Tualatin. So you'll see at the top there, grades 9 through 12, much like the middle school experience. We offer courses in Español, in Spanish, as well as courses in English. Please note that the courses in lectoescritura, in language and literacy, you'll have 2 of those courses in grades 9 and 10. And then, and something we're really, really proud of is that connects to IB level courses, that is International Baccalaureate Advanced level courses that will prepare students for applying for the state seal of biliteracy. That is our target. That is our goal for the end of the high school experience. And we're confident that the middle school pathway will prepare our students for this coursework at the high school level. If you just give me just a quick moment, I'm just going to explain all this en español. Y bueno, esta secuencia de cursos es un resultado de años de trabajo y de estudio, o sea, trabajo colectivo, ¿verdad? Colaboramos con un equipo de maestros y maestras, ¿verdad? E incluso líderes de nuestras escuelas y del distrito para desarrollar una experiencia, ¿verdad? De inmersión en español e inglés. Notará que los estudiantes tomarán 3 cursos cada año, ¿verdad? Y serán como 10 créditos en total durante sus años en Tigard High School. Pero lo importante notar aquí es que estamos desarrollando el español al inglés simultáneamente, ¿verdad? Y ofrecen también brindando la oportunidad de aplicar su idioma por medio de cursos como historia global, biología, química, historia de los Estados Unidos. Y al fin y al cabo, ¿verdad? Conecta a cursos avanzados, o sea, del sistema de IB por las siglas en inglés, ¿verdad? De International Baccalaureate. Es un sistema de cursos avanzados, bueno, y los cuales culminan en la oportunidad de aplicar para el sello de la biliteracidad a nivel del Estado. Okay, Mr. Van Fleet, I think I did it.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, I did my best.
Awesome. With that, next slide, please. Okay, so I think the majority of our audience tonight is 6th grade, so you'll have the most interest in this immediately, but we will look at what 7th and 8th grade will look like as well. So for every single student in here, we will have the Spanish language in literacy that'll be in Spanish for the 6th graders, as well as social studies will be taught in Spanish. And Ms. Guerrero Diaz will conduct both of those. Math will be conducted in Spanish by Ms. Alcaraz Juarez. And then the other courses that we will have will certainly be the English language arts, science, PE, and we have an elective in here or reading. One thing that's not captured right here is we are moving in a wheel format for next year. So there will be a combination, and I think we actually may see that in a future slide, but a combination that has some technology and art to give students a foundation of interest that then they can grow from in grades 7 and 8.
Gracias, Mr. Van Fleet. Bueno, tal vez esta pantalla, esta diapositiva sea de alto interés, ya que van creciendo al 6º grado. En la parte encima, por favor, fíjense en los cursos ofrecidos en español. El curso de lectoescritura para el 6º grado, el curso de estudios sociales y ambos el maestro Guerrero Díaz va a ofrecer, ¿verdad? Y nuestra colega maestra Alcaraz Juárez va a dar el curso de matemáticas en español. Los demás cursos se ofrecen en inglés, ¿verdad? Como artes del lenguaje en inglés, ciencias, educación física, los cursos electivos y también, si es necesario, ofrecer un apoyo adicional en lectura. Mr. Van Fleet también mencionó en cuanto a los cursos electivos, y tenemos otra diapositiva que habla más acerca de estas opciones, que se ofrece en un formato la rueda, por decir, o sea, opciones como arte y tecnología, una combinación de opciones de cursos electivos que se puede aprovechar. Okay, Mr. Van Fleet.
Thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, so in the 7th grade year, we shift just a little bit and we substitute the math for science in Spanish. And so we can see that reflected, science above, and the math moves into English. And on the English side, we also see English language arts, elective, and again, potentially a reading class if needed.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Bensley. Entonces mencionamos hace poco la importancia de balance, ¿verdad? Balance en los cursos que nosotros ofrecemos en la secuencia de cursos. Así que notarán que el lectoescritura para el 7º grado, ahí está, ¿verdad? Y también estudios sociales. Pero la diferencia aquí en el 7º grado, que en vez de ofrecer el curso de matemáticas, se ofrece un curso de ciencias, ¿verdad? Y la matemática se va a ofrecer en inglés, además de las otras opciones que se ve ahí, como artes del lenguaje, educación física y sus otros cursos electivos. Muy bien, Mr. Bensley.
Thank you, sir. Next slide, please. So moving into the 8th grade year, we continue to transition a little bit more. And what we will see is the Spanish language and literacy class, as well as science, and a PE or elective course in Spanish. Right now, depending on the skill sets that we have in the 8th grade, it could be PE or it could be an elective. So we're really close to finalizing that, and we'll communicate as soon as we possibly can. But I know for 6th graders, we've got a little bit of time.
A little time.
And then in the English, we will have English language arts, math, social studies, and a combination of elective, PE, and students also get health in their 8th grade.
Y aquí en 8º grado, ya que esté más a la distancia, ¿verdad? De donde estén ahora actualmente en 6º grado, se va a ofrecer 3 cursos en español, pero con pocos cambios comparado a los años antes. Lectoescritura va a seguir como igual, ¿verdad? Ciencias. Y aquí una opción, ¿verdad? Entonces, educación física, y también vamos a ofrecer un curso electivo. Estamos en el proceso de definir el contenido de este curso, pero sabemos que tenemos colegas, maestros y maestras súper creativas, así que vamos a brindar un curso de suma interés, ¿verdad? Y como dijo el director Van Fleet, que los demás cursos en inglés serán como las matemáticas, artes del lenguaje en inglés, estudios sociales y además otros cursos electivos.
Gracias. Next slide, please. One element from this year that we've been proud of is the cohorting within our 6th grade class. Now, elementary has cohorted all the way through 5th grade. So students have kind of been in a family unit fully immersed in Spanish. As we move into the 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade year, we will have a cohorting within the Spanish subjects, but students will break out and join the rest of the peers in that 6th grade year to just get a much more differentiated experience and get exposed to a lot more of their classmates that they may not have been able to get to know as well at the elementary level.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Bensley. Bueno, dicen que los estudiantes del programa de inmersión de kinder a 5º grado en su grupo con compañeros de clase puede sentir como si fuera familia, ¿verdad? Hasta hermanos, ¿verdad? Y el cambio a la escuela intermedia puede ser que bien va a tomar cursos de inmersión con sus compañeros de Metzger, pero también tendrán la oportunidad de conocer a otros estudiantes de otras escuelas en nuestro distrito. Es decir, que sí tendrán la oportunidad de mezclar con otros compañeros de su grado.
Thank you.
Muy bien. Yeah, of course, Mr. Bensley.
Next slide, please. Okay, so a little bit more of diving into that elective piece that we talked about for 6th graders. There is the wheel option that we are building in for this coming year. And that's what we really believe all students will be a part of. But if a student had a passion and a skill set for band or choir or drama, those potentially could be year-long programs. We have added orchestra here, and I want to put a little asterisk by that. We haven't had orchestra in the past, and we're hoping to grow an orchestra program, but we don't know if we'll be able to truly offer that for next year. We're trying to, which is why we will see that on forecasting cards for Fowler students.
Gracias, Mr. Van Fleet. Entonces, lo que acaba de presentar Mr. Van Fleet es nuestra lista de cursos electivos, o sea, de opciones, cursos que se puede tomar. Notará en el texto blanco que se ofrece banda, ¿verdad? Y con la cuestión de orquesta, dijo Mr. Van Fleet que es un curso que solemos ofrecer, ¿verdad? Es que en el pasado, hasta ahora, no lo hemos ofrecido. Entonces, esta opción sí se verá en el formulario para escoger cursos, así que ya porque tenemos la intención de ofrecerlo. Lo demás opciones son coro, teatro y la rueda de opciones con arte y tecnología que mencionó Mr. Van Fleet hace poco.
Thank you very much. Next slide, please. Okay, so we've been able to get through the bulk of what the freshman or the sixth grade experience. I was at the high school. I forgot where I was. Of the sixth grade experience will look like, and some of the larger themes for the program. Now is a great time if you have questions to add to the chat. If there's some burning questions, there are a lot of things we still can't answer. Because of the fluidity of the pandemic. I don't know if we'll have masks or not, but whatever questions you have, please put those in the chat and we'll answer everything we can for you.
Pues logramos presentar la información y bueno, los detalles pertinentes para el año entrante, pero invitamos sus preguntas en el chat si desean, ¿verdad? O también podrían prender su micrófono para hacer su pregunta en voz alta.
One question I see in here is about sixth graders and outdoor school. Right now we are predicting we will have outdoor school. We are looking at the spring and hoping to be able to offer it at that point in time.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Van Fleet. Hey, can you run that by me one more time?
Absolutely. We had a question of, will we have outdoor school? And we do predict we will offer outdoor school in the spring next year.
Okay, la pregunta se trató del programa de ofrecer cursos bueno, ¿cómo lo diría?
Andy, there's a question about going a little more in detail about the wheel. Could you speak to that a little bit more?
Absolutely. So this is still a process. We haven't finalized exactly what the course is at this point in time. But the way a wheel in general works is most of our classes have been in semesters. A wheel is a 9-week class and there's 4 of them. So there's kind of 4 spokes to that wheel. And it could be a section of art, a section of drama, a section of videography, and a section that goes through everything iPad related, Google Suite, how to utilize the chat features, all of those different components. So it's going to be a blend of technology and art, but it's going to happen every 9 weeks, and it would rotate through most likely a different teacher in each of those quarters.
Okay. Entonces dijo Mr. Van Fleet que la rueda, ¿verdad? Es un ciclo de opciones, ¿verdad? Un ciclo de opciones de cursos que viene cada 9 semanas. Y vienen con una combinación de artes y de tecnología, pero siempre el motivo aquí es ofrecer opciones a los estudiantes que puedan estudiar algo de interés.
There's another question about PE, why PE in Spanish for 8th grade? Tim, maybe you could address that one.
Yeah, and please note that just really regarding PE and Spanish, for 8th grade and the why there, it really all comes down to the balance, right? And so you'll notice that in the student experience grades 6 through 8, and then going into high school, they take an awful lot of social studies in Español and science. And so what we wanted to do is to offer students another option, right? And so in 8th grade, they'll have the option to take PE or another course offering. But the idea here is that we give them some choice as well as balance in the courses that they study in English and in Spanish. Entonces, para contestar la pregunta acerca de la educación física en 8º grado y por qué se ofrece en español, bueno, vienen con dos razones. Okay. Uno es que queremos brindar una experiencia con balance, ¿verdad? Es decir, que notará que en el 6º grado hasta 8º grado toman ya varios años de estudios sociales y también de ciencias. Entonces lo que solemos hacer es darle, esta opción de tomar otro curso en español para que también tengan la oportunidad de tomar un curso de estudios sociales en inglés, ¿verdad? La otra razón es que ya cuando estén en 8º grado, queremos que tengan opciones, o sea, un poquitín de independencia para hacer sus selecciones. Así que son estas dos razones que se trata de por qué ofrecemos educación física en español.
We have a question in the chat about if students will be able to tour the school like they have in the past.
We will definitely have an orientation for students that'll be a lot more catered to 6th grade transitioning in and feeling comfortable. But was the question, is there an opportunity to tour before the school?
It says, will there be a walkthrough so that they can get to know where their classrooms are and things like they have always done?
Ms. Watts, is that accurate that it would be that 6th grade day? Or
yeah, so yeah, unfortunately in years past, we've been able to have our incoming 6th graders come over ahead of time, get a little tour, and do some Q&A with us in the spring. So that won't happen this year, but we do have a video. We also had a question here about forecasting for electives. That actually happens next week. Their teachers will be sharing some videos with them, one of them being a virtual tour, which is kind of fun. And all the information will also be shared with parents. So the actual kind of learning your new school would happen on that 6th grade day, the first day of the next year, which would be the 6th grade day only. And that's when we'll really show you around and kind of teach you about your new school. We wish we could do it sooner. Unfortunately, it's just not going to be possible this year.
So Ms. Watts, I'm sorry, I'll let you talk, Mr. Blackburn. Ms. Watts, to clarify, you're saying that September 8th is 6th graders only, and the 7th and 8th graders do not start until the next day.
Yes, that's what we're anticipating happening again this coming year, if all is kind of back to normal, which we're not for sure yet. But the virtual tour, there is a video that's being shared, and that gives a virtual tour of the school, not the individual classrooms, but they get to actually kind of see the school through a video.
I see that we have a hand up, and before we get to the hand, if you just give me one moment to interpret the last portion of it. That's okay, I'll get the main idea. Entonces, la pregunta se trató de orientación. Bueno, una oportunidad conocer a Fowler, ¿verdad? De a la escuela intermedia y conocer, bueno, la escuela. Y dijo la vicedirectora Watts que esta orientación vendrá en dos formas, ¿verdad? Uno, ya que estamos entrando a la etapa de escoger cursos para el año entrante, en las siguientes semanas, las maestras de sus hijos van a ofrecer un video, o sea, un tour virtual durante el cual se puedan conocer a Fowler Middle School y sirve como una breve introducción a la escuela y también de sus opciones para sus cursos. Además, el día 8 de septiembre, se suele ofrecer, es un día exclusivamente para estudiantes de sexto grado y sirve como una orientación para hacerles sentir cómodos en su nuevo ambiente. I think I got it on, maestra. We'll see, Mr. Van Fleet. Ms. Grant, would you like to share your question? I see you have a hand up. So Shelby Grant, hello?
I'm not sure.
Well, maybe down now.
I don't know if they can actually.
They can.
They can. Okay.
Awesome. Okay, and while we're waiting for Ms. Grant, are there other questions here in the chat?
So there's a question about math and advanced math, and how would they take the CAR test, and that would happen at Metzger, and communication should be coming out about math soon, so that would happen this spring.
Yeah, and I do apologize. Normally that communication would happen much earlier. There were a lot of challenges within just this school year as a whole. And we were in conversations this week with district office about getting that letter out to families to let them know how the iReady assessment scores, the year-end assessment, and the CAR all can factor into what that placement will be next year. That letter should be out to you this week, early next week at the latest.
La pregunta se trató de una evaluación CAR, ¿verdad? Que se trata de matemáticas. Y Mr. Van Fleet reportó que después de conversaciones con el equipo de la oficina central del distrito, supuestamente esta carta que describe, bueno, todo lo de evaluaciones de matemáticas va a explicar el proceso y vendrá a sus casas ya merito.
So there's another question in here about the PE, wondering if they can take a different Spanish option but still have the PE option available. So not sure if maybe one of you want to take a stab at kind of that 8th grade and how that works.
Yeah.
I know, just
it is. Just because this is something we've been really working hard on, as of late, and again, to offer options, right? And so, it is our hope to offer, a PE experience in addition to an elective offering in Espanol. And we're still developing that. Now, our TWI program is young, right? And we're doing the best that we can to offer this option to students. And so, actually, our team is working on it really right now. We're kind of in the process of bringing greater definition to that. But Mr. Van Fleet or Ms. Watts or Ms. Harold, do you have anything that you would add to that?
The only piece I would add is it's really important to pair a non-core experience, right? And so that's kind of what we're looking for in that 8th grade in Spanish. And a piece of the game is trying to find the instructor with the right skill sets that can offer a course that's going to engage students. So we are finalizing that as we speak.
Ya, dijo el maestro, el director Van Fleet, contestando la pregunta acerca de educación cívica, siempre se basa en tratar de ofrecer una oportunidad de usar el idioma español, en este caso, fuera de un contexto académico, sino en otra forma, ¿verdad? En otra experiencia. Así que, de nuevo, esta decisión es buena, la intención es brindarle esta opción, ¿verdad? Esta oportunidad de aplicar su uso de español, pero en otra forma.
There's a question here about electives that we might not have next year. I'm wondering if that question is kind of related to safety protocols. And so forecasting starts here next week, and we kind of cast our net wide, and then we see, you know, maybe what the interest level is from students. So we think that the electives we have on the 6th grade forecasting sheet, we want to be able to offer. And I think we can offer those as long as there's enough interest. You know, obviously, if we don't have enough students that are interested, we wouldn't be offering them. But for 6th graders, most of those ones that we forecasted for, we should be able to offer.
Mm-hmm. La vicedirectora Watts contestó una pregunta acerca de los cursos electivos que ofreceremos en el año entrante en 6º grado. Y ya que estamos actualmente en el proceso de elegir estos cursos, puede ser que no habrá suficiente interés en ciertos cursos, ¿verdad? Pero la lista que tenemos ahora, ojalá y puede ser posible que podremos ofrecer cada uno de estos cursos. Lo único que no podemos decir es con 100% de certitud, ¿verdad? Entonces, en esta lista, con estas opciones, ojalá que podamos ofrecer cada uno de estos el año entrante.
A few questions about after school activities in here and sports, and I see we've already answered some of those. But what is great about the school is if students have interest and come together and want to start a chess club or a drama club, all they have to do is have the interest and come to either Ms. Watts or myself or our Dean of Students, Mr. Knight, and we try to help create those after school activities and programs. Again, a lot of this will be dependent on safety and where we are in that environment next year. But we can create new clubs if students are interested.
Yeah. Mr. Van Fleet acaba de contestar una pregunta acerca de programas que se ofrece después de horas escolares, ¿verdad? Nuestros clubs, ¿verdad? Un programa. Y la verdad es que si los estudiantes tienen cierto interés en, por ejemplo, formar un club de ajedrez, se puede llevar su idea a la vicedirectora Watts o el director Van Fleet para expresar su interés y, bueno, a llevarlo a cabo, ¿verdad? Así que bien se ofrece programas para, las horas después de clase y creo que matricularse en estos programas se pasa en el otoño. Ok, ya muy bien, Laustia. Otras preguntas. Do you have any more questions out there? Either en voz alta o en el chat, favor de compartir sus preguntas. Bueno, Mr. Van Fleet, we're exercising our wait time. It doesn't seem, we don't appear to, oh, there we go.
Wednesday is going to be late start.
We are working on that. That's another piece that we need to work into our schedule. We believe there will be a late start, but it's not fully built in yet. So as soon as we get confirmation on that, we will let parents know.
Yeah. Vino la pregunta en el chat acerca de si habrá un comienzo de, un cambio en el horario escolar para los días miércoles, o sea, un late start es comenzar los cursos más tarde. Hasta ahora esto no lo tenemos en claro, ¿verdad? Estamos en el proceso de conversar y definirlo. Así que cuando tengamos esta información ya listo, estaremos en contacto. Mr. Van Fleet, there's a question here from James. It's a really good one. And it's, if we go in person, is it going to be confusing to get to my classes?
Well, day one, James, you'll walk into the building and you won't know it. So that will be unfamiliar. We have guides all over the school and adults that are there to support you and make sure you can get to your classes. And both adults and in the past, some 8th graders were able to help give tours. So we are going to do everything we can to make it a positive experience where you know where you're going, you feel comfortable, you feel like family, and then the rest of the year is going to be awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Renfrey. James en el chat hizo una excelente pregunta acerca de que va a ser muy confuso llegar a mis clases. Y la verdad es que aunque el edificio de Fowler va a ser nuevo, ¿verdad? Habrá muchos apoyos, o sea, guías para ayudarles en encontrar hasta sus aulas, ¿verdad? Y navegar esta nueva escuela. Así que habrá mucho apoyo.
There's another question here about schedules. Like, when do we get our schedules? And everybody's always super excited to get their schedule. Unfortunately, we work a lot over the summer on student schedules, and this summer will be no different. We will probably be working right up until the last minute on schedule. So unfortunately, you don't get your new schedule to find out your teachers, what classes or what periods you have what classes until just that week before school starts. That's generally when schedules are ready to view.
Mm-hmm. Dice directora Watts, contestando la pregunta acerca de horarios de clase, ¿verdad? Que se va a entregar ya acercando a la fecha de comienzo del nuevo ciclo escolar, tal vez la semana justo antes, ¿verdad? Ya que hay muchos detalles para definir, ¿verdad? Y bueno, trabajamos durante el verano para definirlo, así que tendrán su horario justo antes del nuevo ciclo escolar.
And another question about lockers. Are we going to have lockers, Mr. Fleet?
Oh no, I was going to ask you that question. Yes, we do have lockers, and if we're using them, we will give you a tutorial on how to open the lockers. We don't have enough for every student to have their own, so some students have doubled up, which again, we're looking at the guidance that will come out. Can we do that? Can we have shared lockers next year? So there's some things that we're still identifying, but we will communicate that to you. If I had to guess right now, I would guess we would be using lockers next year.
Me too. And the nice thing for 6th graders is 6th graders get their own locker. They do not have to share. They're little lockers, but you don't have to share. So that's kind of nice.
Entonces, me imagino que haya mucho interés acerca de los armarios, ¿verdad? El espacio donde pueden guardar sus cosas durante el día escolar. Y hasta ahora no está completamente cerrado que sí o no que vayan a tener estos armarios. Puede ser que sí, y hay suficientes para todos los estudiantes que no tendrán que compartir. pero hay ciertos detalles acerca de bueno, por ejemplo, lo de la pandemia, si pueden estar así tan de cerca, tan pegaditas, ¿verdad? Cuando vayan por sus cosas. Así que estamos en el proceso de definirlo. Y dijo el director Van Fleet, si tuviera que adivinar que sí o que no, adivinó que sí, que tal vez que sí, probablemente, pero hasta ahora no está completamente seguro.
Another question I see in here is around the after school clubs, homework club. Will homework after school be an option? We have had homework clubs in the past, so yes, we can sign up for that.
Que muy bien se puede ofrecer un club para hacer tareas después de horas de clase, que sí podrá ser una opción.
And then my favorite question in here is how many students we have, and then the OMG on 270. Just look at that as 270 new friends.
Yeah. Dijo el director Van Fleet que su pregunta favorita aquí se trata del número, de la cantidad de estudiantes. 270 nuevos amigos, ¿verdad? De Metzger, Mary Woodward, CFT, Alberta Ryder, Deer Creek y Mitch. Muchos, ¿verdad? Así que oportunidades de conocer a nuevos estudiantes. James, James has another question, Mr. Van Fleet. If you're late, will you get expelled?
What?
That seems a bit intense to me, but I don't know. You must run a tight ship, Mr. Van Fleet.
James, I love the question, and no, we will not expel late students. We may ask why we're late, help support you to get to class, but man, we are gonna partner with you and care about you, and we're just gonna help get you to class on time the next day.
Yeah. Vino la pregunta en el chat acerca de si uno llega tarde, ¿se expulsa? No. Tal vez vamos a preguntar, hey, ¿qué pasó? ¿Por qué llegaste tarde hoy? Pero no, que expulsión no se hace como consecuencia. Otras preguntas, dudas, inquietudes.
There's a question maybe Mr. Penny can answer about when they can sign up for electives and when those papers, when they have to make their decisions, when those papers are due, those choices are due.
I think, Pam, so what's happening, everybody, is that tomorrow in your 5th grade class, you'll be watching a video. And then over the weekend, there's going to be a kind of a mass email to all the parents and the I believe the students as well. Ms. Watch, you'll have to correct me. And then that's where the forecasting form will be. And then I believe our deadline is we want the kids to fill out. It's a Google form, so we want the families to fill out the Google form, I believe, by next Friday. And then Ms. Harrell, if I can also answer Veronica's question. Veronica, the cool thing about Fowler is all the 6th graders are kind of down one wing, all the 7th graders are kind of down another wing, and the 8th graders are in another little area. So the school doesn't seem that big. It really seems like a small school, because really, for the most part, all you really see is the kids in your grade.
Mm-hmm. Muy bien. Thank you, Mr. Penny. That was great. Entonces, 2 preguntas. Bueno, desde esta última parte se trató de 2 preguntas. Uno sobre el proceso de elegir cursos electivos. Dijo Mr. Penny que mañana van a mostrar un video en sus clases en Metzger, ¿verdad? Acerca de, bueno, el proceso y todo lo de Fowler, ¿verdad? Y lo que tendrán que hacer para escoger sus cursos. Y este fin de semana van a mandar un correo electrónico con un enlace a un formulario en Google, ¿verdad? el cual se puede usar para escoger, para elegir sus cursos electivos. Y dijo el consejero Penny que se espera completar este formulario el día viernes de la próxima semana. Otra pregunta, otro comentario que hizo el Mr. Penny se trató del tamaño de Fowler, ¿verdad? Es que puede ser que hay muchos estudiantes, ¿verdad? 270 en el sexto grado, además de todos los otros estudiantes de séptimo y octavo grado. Y dijo el Mr. Penny es que sí, son muchos estudiantes, pero no se siente, ¿verdad? Ya que el edificio está dividido, ¿verdad? En áreas para los estudiantes en sexto grado, un área dedicado a los estudiantes de séptimo y otro dedicado para los alumnos de octavo. Entonces ya como estén con su grado, no se siente tan grande. Okay. A ver. Oh, there was a question about soccer. Is it cool to answer the question about the club that Mr. Torres offers?
Yes, so we do hope and plan to offer after-school soccer program again next year. It was very successful this year, so we look forward to offering it again and hopefully seeing you out on the field.
Ya, el año entrante sí ofrecerán este club de fútbol, ya que fue muy popular este año. And there was another question about, will the classroom be disinfected after a group leaves for when another group arrives?
So excellent question. And we are going to wait to see what our guidance is next year. And I'm sure we will have some sort of protocols. We just don't have those yet. So again, as soon as we know, we will let you know.
Ya, hasta ahora no tenemos, una idea muy clara de lo que manda el Estado acerca de cómo que se puede, que nos tocará hacer en cuanto a desinfectar y limpiar los salones de clase. Pero estaremos en contacto con mayor información cuando nos den esta información. Okay, otras preguntas? Any more questions out there? Casi son las 8. It's almost 8 o'clock. We're so happy that this answered your questions. That's great.
And I see a lunch question. Lunches are generally 30 minutes for students. And how many classes will you have? There will be 7 classes. In the length of those, we will communicate that very soon. There are a couple things we're considering. But as soon as we have that answered, we will let you know exactly how long those classes will be.
Yeah. Serán como 7 cursos y hasta ahora no estamos seguros de qué tan largo van a estar los periodos. Estaremos en comunicación al respecto.
Well, as we approach kind of the last 30 seconds here, and it's almost 8 o'clock, I just want to say thank you to the panelists for great answers. Thank you to the community for such great questions. Thanks for joining us tonight, and we look forward to seeing you next year.
Gracias a todos y gracias mil por venir. Estaremos en contacto.